710. We are back where we should be on ESPN LA 710, the home for your Trojans and across the USC Trojans Media Network. I am Jordan Moore alongside Sean Cody, our All-American. Cody Kessler, now full-time co-host here on Trojans Live. Good to have you, number 6. And, of course, we've got the head coach, Lincoln Riley, back with us now, heading into his 3rd season in charge here in Troy. Monster Energy is the official energy drink of USC. Unleash the Beast, in USC's head coach interview is presented by I Trust Capital, the official crypto platform of the USC Trojans. We've got a new set here for the new season. We got to shout out your creative team, Coach. They're the guys that came down here and cleaned all this stuff out, built us a new set. So pretty cool job by your staff. And overall, how's camp been? We haven't talked to you in a little while. How was it? How was your summer?
It's been good. We're ready to hit somebody else,
I believe that.
Yeah. I know we always say this at the beginning of the year, but yeah, not having preseason games, not having joint practices or scrimmages, anything like that. College football is so unique. It's, you practice essentially for a month, and then you finally get to go play, and then it's for real. And but it's been good. Camp's been great. Getting the new coaches acclimated, the new players, seeing the team come together, being able to use our new practice facility, which has been tremendous. So it's been a great camp. We're healthy. We're excited. Glad that game week is finally here, and certainly can't wait for Sunday in Vegas.
Coach, you had a quarterback competition this year. I don't know how long it's been since you had one, but you had one this year, and you went with Miller Moss last week. You named your starter. What went to the decision, and how has camp gone for both guys?
Camp was really competitive for those guys. I thought both Miller and Jaden Maeva did a great job. Jaden, as we all felt he would. He made a big jump from spring. Certainly, just learning the system and getting comfortable. You saw him start to make some plays and really settle in. But Miller won the job. I mean, he did. He did a great job leading. He's continued to improve as a player. It was. Despite Jaden really making a great push, it was still pretty clear to us that this was Miller's job and he had earned it. And I think the team felt the same way. So excited because I think competition like that, as you guys know, it pushes you in a way that you can't push yourself. It just does. There's just something about it. And so I think it made Miller better. And it certainly gave us a lot of confidence in Jaden. If the situation arises where he's getting to go in there and play meaningful snaps that we can go, still execute at a high level. So, I love the competition. Thought the guys handled it well, approached it well, and excited for Miller to certainly get his chance.
Coach, you kind of mentioned it a second ago, but fall camp and spring ball is so different than live game action. What position group are you most excited to see on September 1st against LSU, and what position group are you eager to learn about when they take the field?
And there's a lot of them that I'm excited to see. I mean, I think our D-line, certainly is probably there at the top. Right, Sean, you're okay with that, right?
I'll be watching
There we go. Yeah. We've made obviously a lot of changes there. I mean, pretty much every single possible way you can change it. We've changed it from, how we practice, certainly the size, the nutrition factor. It's been well documented, obviously, the weight and the strength that we've put on these guys and that we've brought in. Certainly how we're playing, not just call-wise, but from a technique standpoint is very different as well. And so, to see us get a chance to go put that on display is important. And I think of any of the changes that have happened, that position room, it's been the most extreme.
Yeah.
And so I think naturally for me, that's the one that I'm most excited to see.
You're listening to the head coach, Lincoln Riley, on Trojans Live. And, Coach, the word of the summer was gains. It seemed like across the board, the team bulked up but seemed to do it without, losing speed or athleticism. Take us behind the scenes. Who gets the credit? How did this program get put into place that your team just looks ready to go for the new season?
Yeah, we started pretty early. I mean, we took advantage of having those 6 weeks from the end of the regular season until the Holiday Bowl. And even before we made a coordinator hire, I knew that was going to be part of it. And so, I sat down with Benny and Benny Wiley, our strength coach, our nutrition team, and we mapped out, hey, we're not going to wait until January after the bowl game when we get these guys back to get started. This initiative starts now, here in late November. And so we did. We went on we went on a pretty aggressive path until we got right down to the very end of preparations for the Holiday Bowl that attacked that. And then certainly once we got, Coach Lynn hired, the rest of the defensive staff, we were able to, I think, fully get that plan in place. And then we just haven't looked back. We've made that a priority every step of the way. And so, yeah, it's a great job by the strength staff, the nutrition staff, the trainers. there's so many people involved with that to make that happen. And then certainly, give the players credit for putting in the work to change their bodies. And we'll be excited to go put it on display.
Coach, you've been through this team through a spring now, a summer, and a fall camp. And I'm always interested in the identity of a team, how it kind of develops throughout the year. Is that something you try to say after you've seen these guys? Like, are you trying to push a certain identity upon them, or you kind of let it happen? Or are you going to not? Is it going to something that kind of unfolds throughout the season, or something you want to know before you're kind of going into it?
Well, to me, the answer is a little bit of both. I think you always have to have a few initiatives as a coach that you say, all right, this is going to be really important for us going forward. And then I also do think there's parts of an identity, though, that do have to happen organically.
Defining
moments,
yeah.
And so certainly the weight gain, some of the changes, especially defensively, the physicality emphasis. I think all of those have been things that we knew those things are going to have to take a jump. Those things are going to have to improve. Like, those are going to be emphasis points no matter how this team goes or the feels that you get from it. And then I think as it's gone on and developed, we have started to see the personality of this team a little bit. And I think it's a little bit of I don't want to use words like no-name group, but there's just kind of it's kind of the strength is in the numbers, and the strength is kind of in the masses. Yeah. And it's not a bunch of, it's not an individual guy here or there. You feel a sense of togetherness, which has been exciting to see, especially with the way that this thing was constructed. And I've told the guys many times, typically you go back at the end of the year, and we can all think about teams we've been on or coached. Typically the teams at the end of the year, you look back on and say, man, they really came together as a team. Well, typically those teams do really well or overachieve. The teams that don't typically underachieve. And so, it's going to be important for our group. You feel it now, but as we go through the different ups and downs of the season, how strong is that bond? How close are these guys? What is that chemistry really like?
Coach, how difficult is it looking ahead to next week to prepare for an opponent in week one that you haven't seen on film yet? And obviously you can watch Coach Baker from Missouri when he was defensive coordinator, watch his scheme, and LSU from a year ago, even though they have a new quarterback. But in today's era of college football, with rosters that change so drastically in the offseason and the transfer portal, how difficult is it to prepare for an opponent that you haven't seen on film yet?
Yeah, it's unique. It feels like we've had a lot of these in the last several years, just so many coaching changes. So I guess I think we're used to it. Yeah, there's good and bad to both situations, right? Like the tough thing is, what do you watch? What have they changed at LSU? They're doing it with different people. He's got different position coaches there. So, but then the flip side of it is, well, it's their first game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, there's some things that, that they'll probably get better at, just like anybody else would, from game one to game whatever in a new system with new coaches. And so I think those things typically equal out in the end. I still think it comes down to execution, being able to make adjustments, all of those things, which are certainly going to happen on Sunday. But yeah, there's parts of me that's like, oh man, I wish we had more concrete things to watch. And then sometimes you know what, we don't have much to watch, but they haven't done it a whole lot together either, so you can honestly go either way with it.
Yeah.
You've made some major changes in your defensive coaching staff, which we talked about, obviously some during the spring, but I'm wondering now, you've had a summer, you're in a game week with these guys. A lot of these guys are fairly new to you. You had some relationships there, but first time coaching with most of them. What have you learned about them, or what have you learned from them, as you've started to get in the foxhole with them?
Well, I've learned a lot from them. I wanted to bring in people with different backgrounds, people that had different great experiences, and we did that. And so, to be able to lean on these guys throughout camp of, well, how have you done this in the past, or do you have a suggestion here, or do you, things that they have seen and experienced, and most of these guys again have been really, really successful. So it's been awesome having that. And then I think my biggest takeaway has been, I tell people all the time, like you see, like teams in the NBA, they put together this super team, and then the team's not worth a damn, right? Like, oh my gosh, they got this guy and this guy and this guy. They're going to be unbelievable, and then they're terrible. Like, there's still a chemistry part to the coaching piece as well. I knew we hired like some individually outstanding coaches. I have been excited to see how well they have worked together and really come together as a unit, and that's probably the most important part. So they watching these guys interact, it doesn't feel like it's their first year together, which I think is a good thing.
Coach, we got some helmet communication this year. A little wrinkle this year. Sounds like you've been an advocate of it before when you've been talking about it. How's that going to change up what you guys do and how the procedural events of getting the play call in?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be part of the strategy, and I think the cat and mouse game for everybody, is everybody has this. I'm sure everybody's going to use it in some form or fashion, but how do you use it? Yeah. The 15-second cutoff, so for those people who aren't aware, once the play clock gets to 15 or below, you can press the button, but it just a noise shows up. You can't communicate with the player. So that's definitely going to be a factor, I think, for both sides, offensively and defensively. And then, you got to decide, are you going to use it to call a play? Are you going to use it to communicate with the player? Are you going to use it to try to help them see a look that's on the field? I mean, there's so much, and each player's different, each situation's different, each side of the ball's different. So we've experimented with a lot. We've talked to a lot of people that have used that. We've been able to experiment both in spring ball and in camp, and I think we've settled into how we're going to use it, but I'm sure we'll adjust and tweak it a little bit as we go on as well.
I can see him. Miller, tell Jonah to block the Mike linebacker.
Exactly right.
All get started on Sunday. USC versus LSU, presented by Invesco QQQ, the official ETF partner of the USC Trojans. It'll kick off at 4:30 p.m. in the Pacific time zone. Remember, it is a Sunday game. Trojans really have the spotlight to themselves. We will go on at 2:30 with the Trojan Tailgate Show on our new home, ESPN LA 710. And Trojans Live is sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC football. More Lincoln Riley next on Trojans Live.
I used to toss a coin in the waterfall, send a wishing well. Now I get plenty coin, but I'm self-made. You ain't gotta wish me well. You ain't like me then, but I guess it's past tense, cause you tapped in. You was never who you said. I see the facade when looking, it really be like me to tell my guard up. I ain't taking nails. If it's not in my favor, won't sign a deal. I got the royalty in the mail. I got authority in the field. Take a look in my iris. I be precise with the timing. I never know where my mind went.
QQ is the official ETF partner of the USC Trojans. The future isn't scary. Not realizing its potential, however, could be. Invesco QQQ. Let's rethink possibility. Invesco QQQ Distributors, Inc. And when you've got good beer and good vibes, it's all buenas. Stone Buena Veza Salt and Lime Lager is Baja inspired, imported from San Diego, located near you at find.stonebrewing.com. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody Kessler, and the head coach Lincoln Riley getting set for Sunday against LSU. Coach, we've seen a lot of Brian Kelly over the years, mostly at Notre Dame. He's kind of a guy that I felt like was underrated for a while. I mean, I think I haven't looked it up. I think he is still the active leader in wins, though, among coaches. He's been doing this for a long time. What makes him a difficult matchup on that other sideline?
Yeah. Brian's he's been a really good coach for a long time. Like you said, he's done it at different levels. Yeah. I think he's he's certainly done a great job with hires. Through the past, you look at some of the guys that have worked for him and some of the staffs that he's been able to construct. I think he's been a good program builder. A guy that certainly I haven't obviously worked with him, so I don't have incredibly in-depth knowledge of what it's like day to day. But from afar, certainly seems like a guy that has the ability to piece it all together, has a good feel for what's going on overall in the program, and again, he's surrounded himself with really good coaches, which has made for some really obviously some great programs, and he's been very consistent. I think that's one thing you got to say about him. I mean, his teams year in and year out typically produce, and there hasn't been many down years in all the time that he's done it, which I think is a big compliment.
Coach, take us through the scouting report a little bit for the Tigers. Obviously, a new quarterback's going to be in there with some strong tackles. How about defensively? What do you expect to see from those Tigers?
Yeah, they're a good group. Obviously, as we talked about, new coordinator coming in, but they're very talented, like you would expect. Certainly the front seven, you see a lot of athleticism. The linebackers are very experienced, very good players. Everybody talks about Perkins, and he's a very good player, but so are the other backers as well. Penn, some of those guys have been there for a while, so they've got some new players that have come in as well, via recruiting and the transfer portal. So there's they're going to be a little bit of a new group as well, but a lot of talent, both sides of the ball. Nussmeier came in, played very well in the bowl game for them as well. Their offensive line, I think, will be one of the better offensive lines that we play this year. Certainly some really good players on tape, actually some guys that recruited in another life. So, know some of those guys well, and it's no surprise to see that group really being a strong point for them.
Coach, I want to fast forward to September 1st. You just come off the field for pregame warm-up. Now we're back in the locker room. It's kind of that last calm before the storm, before you take the field. I want to know, what's that last message or that last conversation that you have with Miller Moss, who earned the starting job here as quarterback one? What's that last conversation look like right before he takes the field?
He just needs to be himself. It's the same thing I told him before the bowl game. You can't try to be anybody else. You got to be confident in who you are as a quarterback. Know what your game is, know the way that you want to play the game, and go do it, and not really worry about anything else. And it's, as you know from playing the position, one of the toughest challenges for a quarterback is to sometimes you kind of fight those inner battles of wanting to do too much or wanting to try to do this or that, and you've got to. It's kind of a mental test. It's like, see how long you can just stay true to the game plan and what is going to be successful, and it's a lot easier said than done. And so he did a good job of it in San Diego, and that'll be another key for him here coming up on Sunday.
You're listening to the head coach, Lincoln Riley, on Trojans Live. I want to talk a little personnel with you on your side. The running back room, Woody Marks, has a ton of experience. Just looking at him, really unique player, too. This is a guy that has a lot of catches. Really spent time almost as much as a receiver out of the backfield at his time at Mississippi State as he did a runner. How are you preparing him? What are your expectations for him in that room as the guy who was clearly the veteran with some young backs behind him? Yeah,
it was important to get him. We wanted to add somebody that had that experience because we love the young talent in the room, but it is young, it is inexperienced, and so. Woody was the perfect guy to land on. He does. He's got a really good skill set. He can run the ball in between the tackles. He can get the ball outside. He can catch the ball. He's good in pass protection. He's definitely an every down type of back, no question about it. And as you said, he's had experience. He's played in big games against good competition. So, he's been good. He's been kind of just a steadying presence for our offense. And excited, to get some of those young guys in the mix as well. Joyner and Brian Jackson and Peterson, all those guys bring something pretty exciting to the table. So I think that's got a chance to be a pretty deep room for us, and a room that we certainly are going to have the ability to lean on.
Coach, you had some younger players last year flash. I can think of, Zachariah and Big Bear. They flash on film. And this season or this fall camp, you've talked a little bit about challenging them, right? Being not just a good player, but being a consistent, great player. I always interested in how coaches talk to players. 'Cause I know in this day and age, it's a little tougher to, really challenge and be critical because, there's a portal. Kids are, how do you have those conversations with your players to make sure that that they know you're trying to push them to their greatest level?
Yeah, I think just being honest and consistent with them. I mean, if they do something good, I got no problem telling them. If they do something that's not good enough, being the same way and letting them know up front that, look, I'm going to be straight up with you on exactly what I see, and I'm not going to be afraid to tell you did a great job, and I'm not going to be afraid to tell you this wasn't good enough and it's got to be better. And then trying to be that same person every day so they know exactly what to expect. And I think at the end of the day, if you've recruited / developed the right guys, then when you challenge them, they're not going to back away. The true competitors, they want that. I love the guys that come in and no, I want to know what I need to do to get better. They crave that. And if you don't crave that, then this ain't the game for you, and USC ain't the place for you. I mean, it's just that simple.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, one of the guys that kind of sticks out talking about position groups, and I guess a group of guys is, and Sean just said it, but that sophomore wide receiver class is, I don't think people realize how good that unit is. You have Jacoby Lane, Zachariah Branch, Deuce Robinson, Mekhi Lemon, all part of the same class. How much easier as a play caller and one of the best in the country does it make your life how much easier does it make your life to have those guys on the outside, at your will, and allow Miller to use them?
Yeah, it's a good young group. And when you look at the 4 guys in that class, it was a great class. Those guys all had some varying degrees of contributions last year. In the first year, all showed a lot of promise. They've all gotten a lot better. And I think, you pair them up with some, really good veterans in the room, Kyron Hudson and, Kyle Ford and some guys like that are also very good players. It's a good room. It is. Now, we got to go produce. We got to go make those plays that we're capable of, and I believe we will. But no, you do. You like the depth. You like the talent. You like the experience in that room. And that class in particular has got a chance to be very good.
Well, here we go. It all starts on Sunday. Great to have you back, Coach, with us on Trojans Live. Thank you so much, as always, for your time, and we look forward to seeing you take your team out on the field at Allegiant Stadium on Sunday. USC versus LSU, presented by Invesco QQQ, the official ETF partner of the USC Trojans. 4:30 kick, 2:30 for Trojan Tailgate Show on ESPN LA 710 and across the USC Trojans Media Network. One of the leaders on your team, no doubt about it, is fifth-year senior Jonah Monheim. He will join us next on Trojans Live.
It's almost.
I used to toss a coin in the waterfalls in the wishing well. Now I get plenty coin, but I'm self-made. You ain't gotta wish me well. You ain't like me then, but I guess it's past tense, cause you tapped in. You was never who you said. I see the facade when looking, it really need I can tell my guard up. I ain't taking nails. If it's not in my favor, won't sign the deal. I got the royalty in the mail. I got authority in the field. Take a look in my iris. I be precise with the timing. I never know where my mind went.
Sean Cody and Cody Kessler.
Fight on, Trojans, and fly on with ONT. Ontario International Airport is a proud sponsor of our USC Trojans. Visit SoCalSoEasy.com to book your journey through ONT today. And our Best in the Game is brought to you by Old Dominion Freight Line, official freight carrier of USC Athletics, helping the world keep promises. Our Best in the Game is Jonah Monheim, the leader of this USC offensive line. Redshirt senior center now. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Cody Kessler, veteran guest here. We've had Jonah on before. Been fun documenting your career, and your career's involved a lot of moving around on the offensive line, and now you've settled in here at the center position. How was it having a full off season, full training camp, on the ball?
It was good. Obviously, a lot of growth as a player, learning a new position, but at the end of the day, it's still playing offensive line. So a lot of carryover, a lot of similarities there, but it's been good.
How's camp when you're getting it's redshirt senior? That's a long time you've been playing, man. I know camp is getting old. You're probably like, man, I'm ready to. What's the next step here, man? How was your redshirt senior year camp?
No, it was good. It's always good, and there's a little added bonus there, knowing that all right, this is my last camp. Like I got to give it all I've got.
Yep.
I've got to leave it all out there. But it's been a blast with these guys. Getting to grow and compete with them every single day, and I actually get to subtract a year because we didn't have a camp in 2020. So
there you go, man.
There you go.
Always good to get out of camp.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of that and kind of a former player question. What is, and you can be honest, favorite part of camp and then least favorite part of camp throughout, and not only just this year, just as a whole? Because that's where you learn if you really love football. For those of you who don't know, fall camp is a grind, and it's very difficult. I just want to know, you're curious, what's your favorite and least favorite?
it's a good question. I think the first thing that came to mind was almost the same thing. The best thing about camp is that it's all ball.
Yeah.
It's all
True.
football. You're with your teammates 24/7. Like, all you do is get better at football and grow as a team. Maybe the toughest part of camp is there's only football. There's nothing else. You're hardly sleeping, eating,
best and the worst.
relaxing. You're only playing football. So, in a way, it's the best thing and maybe the hardest thing about
Great
camp.
answer. Yeah.
You're listening to Jonah Monheim on Trojans Live, and obviously you work with all the quarterbacks, but Miller Moss named the starting quarterback. That's who will be behind you on Sunday. What's the development of that relationship been like? You guys have been here a while now, and maybe that's a luxury in college football this day and age that you two have had a chance to get to know each other over the years. But now that you're the center quarterback combination, what's that relationship been like?
Yeah, like you said, I've been fortunate to be here with Miller for a long time and know him very well as a friend and teammate on and off the field. But, our relationship on the field is still growing, certainly as a center and a quarterback. But it's been good up to this point, and I'm excited to keep, growing that relationship.
Talk about a little bit about your guys in the offensive line room. Obviously, it's a shifting group every year, but you got some guys that sound like are in their positions. Maybe one of the positions are still figuring out who's going to be out there. What's it like when you're not really solidified going into that first game and you got to still kind of figure out who you're going to war with?
Yeah, overall, I've been proud of the growth that these guys have made, throughout the entire offseason. Everyone's got different areas to grow in, whether it's football knowledge, body stuff with size and strength and all that. A lot of guys have made a lot of good jumps. Now, ultimately, we've just got to come together as a unit and perform on game days, and, that's the only thing left to do.
I've been able to talk to Coach Hinson a lot since he stepped foot on campus, and one of the best offensive line coaches in the entire country, in my opinion. Phenomenal coach. What has your relationship been like with Coach Hinson, and how has he helped you develop into the player you are today?
Yeah, it's hard to even summarize that in terms of, when he came here in 2022, who I was as a player compared to all the things that I've learned and grown to be who I am now. He's taught me almost everything I've known about the offensive line position and, playing this game, and whether it's body mechanics or O-line techniques or whatever it is, he's taught me so much, and I'm forever in debt to him for that. And there's so many things I need to continue to get better at. Like you said, I think he's also one of the best coaches in the game, especially at the position. And I'm so grateful to have that as a resource.
Yeah.
You're listening to Jonah Monheim on Trojans Live. Jonah, a lot of talk about gains as a team overall, as a roster on the offseason. I'm curious, you, though, in terms of your body, how did you change it at all going to center? Did that affect your offseason?
Yeah, I think, I had to put on weight regardless, but in terms of also switching to center, I tried to put on about 15 pounds, which is just something that I needed to do, regardless of the position change. And it was a good off season, and, thank you to our strength staff and our nutrition staff for making that happen.
I'm always curious about the group when brand new year. You guys got to find out who your captains are going to be. Obviously, it's going to take being out there in the field and going through the battle. But you got a new offensive group, a new quarterback at the helm. What's it going to take for you guys or what's the mindset kind of going into this season? And hey, what we got to do to make this a successful year?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to establish our identity. You know, we've got to be physical. We've got to execute. You know, we've got to be a smart unit, a smart football team, and that comes from preparation. Obviously, we've got to be confident. We've got to be prepared to do what we need to do on game days, you know, from our week of practice and our entire offseason building up to this point. And like I said, I'm proud of the guys and what we've done up to this point, but we've got more work to do.
How has it been going against Coach Lynn's defensive scheme this offseason, and how do you feel like it's helped you improve as an offense when you kind of have that iron sharpens iron every day at practice?
It's been phenomenal. You know, I've been super grateful to have gone against them all spring and all fall camp. I think, you know, especially up front, it's made us better as a group. You know, it's exposed us to new things, new looks, new techniques within that front seven and the defense as a whole. And they've been playing some good ball, and that forces us to play better.
All right, shout somebody out though, man. What are those guys you get? One of those big nasties you hate going against? Throw them out. Throw them under the bus right now. Who's been having a great camp on that D-line side of the ball?
I think a lot of guys are, man. I think it's tough to just name one. You know, I think about some new faces. You know, it's been good to have Gavin on this team. You know, what he's brought to that D-line room and the team as a whole. You know, it's been good to see Anthony Lucas continue to grow into the role that he's had.
You know, I think a big story as this season goes on will be communication because we're about to head into some huge stadiums. You know, think about Michigan as the third game of the season. And even this one, who knows? I mean, it's a neutral site game, but, you know, it's going to be a sold-out crowd, and those LSU fans will make some noise. Are things harder from the center position where you're the one that has to do so much communicating in a loud stadium, or when you're out at tackle when you were the one that could barely hear the communication? What's harder?
I guess that's for me to find out, right?
Yeah, I guess you'll find out.
I mean, we can simulate it as loud as we can in practice with crowd noise, but ultimately, you know, I've still got to find that out.
Well, you're in classes now, right? You talked. It's been all ball for a long time, but now you're back to school. What are you taking right here, and what do you got left? I'm sure you've graduated 4 times already.
Yes, I was fortunate to graduate last fall in Marshall, so now I'm in the gerontology certificate program.
There you go, man. Let's knock out some classes and some ball.
Good student, high GPA guy. I know you were honored for that. Jonah Monheim, a leader on this team, man. You ready to get out there on Sunday, lead this team on the field?
Yes, sir.
Begins his final season here at USC against LSU. No better place to do it. In Las Vegas on Sunday, 4:30 p.m. is the kick. Trojan Tailgate Show goes on at 2:30, and that game is presented by Invesco QQQ, the official ETF partner of the USC Trojans. Don't wait until game time to plan for retirement. Open your free iTrust Capital account today and get your crypto IRA. iTrust Capital is the official cryptocurrency platform of the USC Trojans. I mentioned that football is going to have to deal with some big stadiums and big environments. Well, women's volleyball, they're really going to have to deal with it going into the Big Ten. That is a huge volleyball conference, and no one knows that better than Allie Battenhorst. She's new to USC women's volleyball, comes from Nebraska. She's next on Trojans Live.
I used to toss a coin in the waterfalls in the wishing well. Now I get plenty coin, but you self-made. You ain't gotta wish me well. You ain't like me then, but I guess it's past tense, cause you tapped in. You was never who you said. I see the facade when looking at really need. I can tell my guard up. I ain't taking nails. If it's not in my favor, won't sign the deal. I got the royalty in the mail. I got authority in the field. Take a look in my iris. I be precise with the timing. I never know where my mind went.
USC touchdown. Now back to the campus of USC at Heritage Hall, broadcasting in Los Angeles. Here are your hosts, Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, and Cody Kessler.
Trojans Live is brought to you by Monster Energy, the official energy drink of USC. Unleash the Beast. And our Women's Spotlight is brought to you by Sprouts Farmers Market, open 7 days a week. Visit your neighborhood Sprouts for good-for-you groceries and great prices on the freshest produce. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Cody Kessler, and Allie Battenhorst joins us now, a grad transfer. You come over from Nebraska, so we've got lots of Big Ten questions to ask you. But let's start with USC. What brought you here?
Well, first, thank you for having me. Obviously, USC is a great program and just a great school in general. So I obviously got my undergrad from Nebraska. I graduated, and I wanted to pursue some things just outside of volleyball as well. So LA is the perfect spot, and just being at a university like USC is just amazing. So that's probably.
Ali, tell us about the training camp for volleyball. You guys got a game coming up on Friday, right? So you guys have been battling for the last match. A match coming up. Tell me what training camp is like for volleyball and how you guys have been getting down and dirty on the court.
Yeah, we've been doing 2 days every other day, and
way harder than football. Football has it easy now. They practice once a day.
We can't do 2 days.
No, yeah, we're going at it. But yeah, it's been great. We started off strong, and we're learning a lot of new ways of playing. And obviously, I've come from Nebraska, so West Coast volleyball is a little bit different, but it's super fun, and I think our team's growing a lot.
Well, speaking of that, and kind of a question here from being new to USC, been here for a little bit of time now. How or what is the biggest difference you've noticed coming from Nebraska to now living in Southern California?
I would definitely say the lifestyle.
Okay.
I would say Nebraska is a bunch of cornfields, slower lifestyle. Sorry.
So that's what we hear. That's what
Yep,
it's
yep.
exactly that. Okay.
Yeah, and then it's LA lifestyle, so it's super quick, and we're by the beach, and there's just 10 times more things to do. So that's great.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, one thing to do, though, in Nebraska is go to women's volleyball games.
Yeah.
They go to a lot of them. They put you in a football stadium. That was last season?
Yeah.
What do we have in store for us? I mean, this conference seems to have a tremendous amount of passion for this sport, and road life's going to be interesting for Pac-12 volleyball was always really high level, but not sure they played a lot of road games in football stadiums.
Yeah, so the Big Ten is notably the best volleyball conference in the nation. Yeah, we're going to be traveling far. It's crazy having a bunch of California schools and West Coast schools in the Big Ten now, but it's a very tough conference. People care a lot. Every stadium is going to be packed, and it's just very competitive, lots of top athletes, and just the top Power 5 programs are in the Big Ten.
Who has the toughest fans? Is there a lot of chirping going on?
Yeah, I would say the toughest gym I played in was probably Penn State. While being at Nebraska, it's always super packed, and the student section's super intense.
Yeah.
Lots of comments.
Choose the right word.
Yeah.
Tell us about this year's squad. You guys have been in training camp and going through it. And you mentioned your brand of play that you play on the West Coast here. Tell us about the squad and what can we look forward to?
Yeah, I mean, this group has tons of energy. It's so much fun being a part of this group. And I think we have some really strong, talented freshmen coming in as well. And I think they're going to make an impact pretty quickly. And obviously being new here, being a senior, it's kind of interesting going from just being so used to being the vet on the team and then coming to a whole new program and almost learning completely different stuff and just kind of getting used to everything. And yeah, it's been super fun, and the girls have been super welcoming, and I think we're really going to make a run this year.
You played in some big-time matches in your career, including 2 national championships. What is that experience, or how has that experience helped you to become the player and the teammate that you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I've played in the highest pressure situations possible in women's volleyball, and it's been such a blessing to be a part of. I think it's really challenged me mentally and physically, and just being a part of such an elite program has really set me up to kind of prepare for anything that comes my way, for sure.
Mom and dad both went to Nebraska?
Yeah, no. So my dad, he played basketball at Nebraska Wesleyan, so it's like a D2.
Okay.
I don't know. But yeah, my mom studied journalism at UNL and UNO, so Omaha and Lincoln.
And family too? You have other family? I'm just curious about September 29th and how the Battenhorst family is going to handle your return to Nebraska. Are they going to show up in the gym in USC gear? Are they ignore their friends? How does that work when you have as much Nebraska blood as you do?
I mean, it's definitely going to be different. They have been Husker fans since they were born. It's been in my family for a long time, and my entire family is from there. Small town. My dad grew up in a small town in Wisner, random city in Nebraska. But yeah, it's definitely gonna be different. They're all gonna be wearing USC gear and they're gonna be supporting me no matter what. But it'll definitely be weird for them. I have a feeling, but they're excited, and I'm so excited just to see all my friends and like my family friends that are gonna be there. Just all the sport's gonna be great.
I feel like a professional now. I've been watching a lot of volleyball from the Olympics, beach volleyball, indoor, men's, women. I feel like a pro now. Do you have any beach volleyball in your career, in your past here, or did you play in the beach side?
Yeah, so I'm actually gonna be playing beach here at USC as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
We're pretty good on the beach side.
Yeah, just kind of. We're pretty, nothing special. But yeah, so Nebraska had a kind of halfway beach team, so we played beach for 2 months, and it was just cross training. It was nothing crazy. We weren't competing for national championships, but our indoor team essentially was our beach team. Oh. So we would compete. We went to Hawaii, went to Louisiana, we went to all these tournaments, and it's a lot different game for sure. But we held our own, and it was a blast. So I think I've learned a lot, and the coaches have a history in beach volleyball as well, so they've taught me a lot.
We take a lot of pride here at USC about the Trojan family, and you'll hear that a lot. How welcoming have your teammates been, and I guess the rest of the Trojan family with your transition here to USC?
Yeah, they've been so welcoming. I mean, it's just been such a smooth transition, and I'm so grateful for that. Yeah, the coaches have been great. The staff is great. And actually, one of the coaches on my team, he was my coach my freshman year in Nebraska as well. So that's so I already kind of knew him. And whenever I met the staff and just the girls, they were all just super easygoing. And that was a big reason why I came here.
Well, it all gets started this weekend. You have a couple matches at Pepperdine.
You said game earlier, by the way. I didn't call you on it. I was waiting for Sean, but.
You know, there's a big one coming, though. The home opener is against Pitt. Pitt was a 1 seed last year, knocked us out of the NCAA tournament, so that's a heck of a match to begin the home schedule. That'll be on September 11th, so make sure you get to Galen. Allie Battenhorst, home opener in the Cardinal and Gold. Good luck. Have a great season. Want the inside scoop on this game and all things Trojans? Be sure to sign up for the 3 Torches presented by Smart and Final. It's a free newsletter that'll hit your email inbox 3 times a week with game info, player insights, and more. Go to usctrojans.com/3torches and sign up. Back with more Trojans Live next.
I used to toss a coin in the waterfall, send a wishing well. Now I get plenty coin, but I'm self-made. You ain't gotta wish me well. You ain't like me then, but I guess it's past tense, cause you tapped in. You was never who you said. I see the facade when looking at really me like you can tell. My guard up, I ain't taking nails. If it's not in my favor, won't sign a deal. I got the royalty in the mail. I got authority in the field. Take a look in my iris. I be precise with the timing. I never know where my mind went.
ESPN LA Trojans Radio Network.
We're back with Trojans Live.
It's a lob pass. It's caught the end zone. It's a touchdown, USC.
Getting you set for the kickoff of USC football coming up Sunday. LSU, USC at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. Now back to the campus of USC at Heritage Hall, broadcasting in Los Angeles. Here are your hosts, Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, and Cody Kessler.
Trojans Live is sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC football, and Invesco QQQ is the official ETF partner of the USC Trojans. The future isn't scary, not realizing its potential, however, could be. Invesco QQQ. Let's rethink possibility. Invesco Distributors, Inc. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Cody Kessler, and Keely Orr joins us for the first time in the new season for our football roundtable. And Keely, great to have you as always. Thank you for all your help in building this beautiful new set that we have, and all the work you do behind the scenes. So
Daniel and Alex shouting them out too as well.
Yes, so we'll get that at the end.
Okay,
we'll
sorry.
Get to those guys as well. We've got a new stream team here. We've got a lot going on, a lot of exciting things, and it includes a new football team. I think there's 66 new players on this team. What stood out to you? What was your big takeaway from fall camp, from what you were able to gather from listening to all the coaches and players talk?
I think one thing is that we were all watching the Holiday Bowl wondering, is this a one-off? And of course we won't know that full answer until Sunday, but I do think that team chemistry, that togetherness has carried over. I think that's something that they knew was lacking last season to a certain degree, and they felt a difference in the Holiday Bowl. And so we've heard from coaches and players, they really took time to get to know each other, not only obviously on the field, but off the field as well as, I'm a DB. I don't know what the running backs are doing, really trying to make sure that both offense and defense knows each other to a certain degree, because, it's not if the hard times are coming, it's when the hard times are coming and how are we going to respond as a team. So I think that's something that they saw it pay off in that short, microcosm of the Holiday Bowl, and they want to replicate that for a whole season. So whether or not that will happen, we'll see, but that's definitely something they had in mind.
Yeah, I think you listen to a lot of the conversations after practices, and it sounds like defense has been coming together, right? And it's all lip service until we start playing games, but it sounds like D'Antlin's got those guys' mindset right. It sounds like Coach Lincoln Riley likes where that group is headed and what they're doing. Obviously, we can all be excited this time of year, but it sounds like a group that's playing with confidence and out there and knowing where to play. So I'm excited about seeing that, because you go through this whole thing. It's a lot of hype videos, and it's a lot of everyone's great and everyone's getting bigger and stronger, and it's really we all see what happens on Sunday, right? The answers will be answered, not all of them, but some answers we'll get a lot of answers on. Oh, this is who we're going to go with. This is where our emphasis is at. This is what kind of defense we're going to play. So a lot of these questions will be answered on Sunday.
A lot more answers than we would get maybe if the first two games were flipped, right? We're so used to sort of a couple games where you get to trot things out and maybe the team looks a little rusty. This is USC LSU on Saturday. Or Sunday. There's none of that happening. This is marquee game right away.
Yeah, and normally when you have, I hate saying that, but a lesser opponent, you normally can get to those points in the game where, okay, we have a comfortable lead. We can allow some of these guys that are maybe 2, 3s, and 4s on the depth chart to play a little bit, and you have that comfort of the 4-game redshirt rule now, so you can let some of these younger guys play. But when you play a team like LSU, a top 15 opponent, everyone's going to be watching, right? We're the only game on Sunday. You have to put those guys out there that you think are going to perform. Now, if we get a lead, and I would love to see that, obviously we all would, and let some of those younger guys play, sure, that can happen. But overall, it's going to be, hey, these guys performed in camp. Are they going to be able to come out and do the same thing on Sunday? And if they're not, we may have to make a change, and that's going to happen. It's not to say we're going to stick with these guys and that's it. We may see some change and some roster moves and some guys that are competing for a spot split some time here. But overall, it's going to be put up or shut up against LSU that first game of the year, and it's a huge stage, or it's a huge platform, and that's what you want when you come to USC.
It almost seems like you have to cram a whole, like you think of the NFL as preseason games, right? 4 preseason games. That's like your first quarter, your first half. It's like, all right, we got a lot of moving pieces. We got to come in with a ton of stuff. What's going to work? What's going to not? You got to cram it all in that first half.
I'm curious, as players, we always like to say you're ready game one, but humans are humans. If you're getting prepared for this game, are you a little bit more locked in for game one rather than maybe a lesser opponent?
I would say you're locked in more. But it's still game one, and it's still that uncomfortable, like nervous feeling about, oh, here we go. It's a new group. You don't know who leadership is developed throughout the season. And yeah, you name a captain and who's going to be, but until those bullets are flying and guys are flying around, and then who are we looking at? Then you find out who the captains are, who's stepping up, who's going to be that guy, because those are the moments that earn you that right to be the captain.
And I love that Sean said that. And I almost not interrupted Lincoln, but kind of talked about that point earlier when he was saying you prepare all this time for an opponent, but you really don't know what's going to happen on Sunday, right? That's when you learn the most about your team, is when that first punch in the mouth happens and you go, okay, now we woke up, now we know what's happening. But kind of talk about what Sean was saying too, is you can be a vocal leader, right? You can lead by example in practice, but the guys that you want to follow or that are worthy of following are the guys that perform on game day, right? And you can't really replicate game day situations in practice exactly. So, I mean, that's going to be huge to watch for, is, okay, these are going to be the captains, these are going to be the leaders, but there's going to be some unsung heroes that maybe weren't talked a lot about in camp that are going to show up on game days and kind of take that leadership role.
This would be a completely different preview a year ago. We'd be talking about Caleb Williams
100%.
versus Jaden Daniels. Although, really, we'd be talking about Caleb. Jaden did most of his work in his final season at LSU. Which guy do you think is harder to replace? Both these coaches, we were just talking about it off air about how these teams mirror each other a little bit. It's the first and second pick of the draft. Which one do you think is harder to replace?
Going with me first?
Sure.
Yes.
I'm going to say Caleb Williams. I think we talked about on the podcast, like Riley talks about it's still a work in progress. And when I hear that, I think of the offensive line. That's something that you can't replace quickly. Yes, they try to do it through the portal, but something that's helped that offensive line, maybe talent gap in the previous regime's lack of recruiting, if I say that, is a mobile quarterback. Caleb's Houdini-like experience. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Caleb in that regard.
Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
I just thought the amount of attention Caleb Williams got, Jaden Daniels, obviously Heisman winner, and he had a heck of a season, but the spotlight was on Caleb Williams for the last 2 years. He's on Hard Knocks now. So just that level of scrutiny, I think was higher for Caleb Williams.
I think production-wise, and obviously Caleb was one of the best in the country, but from last year, strictly, Jaden Daniels. He was their entire offense. I guess three guys, him, Malik Neighbors, and Brian Thomas Jr. were literally 90% of their offense. Jaden Daniels threw for over 4,000. He ran for over 1,100. And all those guys combined counted for, I think, 50, 60 touchdowns. So it was unbelievable what they did. So it's going to be difficult to replace that production, but, we'll see on Sunday.
Yeah, I think I would vote for Jaden Daniels only because if I'm Miller Moss, I have 100% faith that I can put my career in the hands of Lincoln Riley and he can build another great quarterback.
Great point.
And Brian Kelly has had some good quarterbacks, but isn't quite the QB guru that Lincoln has proven to be. So I think Lincoln has proven that he can move on from a Heisman winner, number 1 overall pick, and still have another great player in store. We've got one more segment to come. About to wrap up Trojans Live here on a Monday night, our first game week of the season. Come on back for the finish.
I used to toss a coin in the waterfalls in the wishing well. Now I get penny coin, but I'm self-made. You ain't gotta wish me well. You ain't like me then, but I guess it's past tense, cause you tapped in. You was never who you said. I see the facade when looking at really me like you can tell. My guard up, I ain't taking nails. If it's not in my favor, won't sign the deal. I got the royalty in the mail. I got authority in the field. Take a look in my iris. I be precise with the timing. I never know where my mind went.
One final segment of Trojans Live on our first Monday night of the new season. The over-under is presented by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC Athletics. All right, Sean, this is not an over-under, but it's easy for you.
Yes.
Who will lead USC in receiving yards on Sunday?
I'm going to go with Mekhi Lemon.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. I see him in that Taj Washington kind of role.
Clearly, you haven't listened to the podcast.
Love it.
Not
We
yet.
are
Not
we
yet.
are
I'm
pro
saving it.
Mackay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's our
Yeah.
sleeper
I
pick.
wasn't anti-Mackay. I was just surprised by the answer.
Yeah, and if
You
same
have
thing.
20 seconds.
I'm going Deuce Robinson. I think he's going to be wide receiver 1 this year. The size, the taking that next step, the confidence is going to continue to grow. I'm going Deuce Robinson.
To be different, I'll say Zachariah Branch.
All right.
Or Jordan Brand.
I'll take Jacoby Lane.
Nice.
Good job.
Sophomore crew.
Daniel Liu, Alex Gomez, thank you so much to our
MVPs.
new stream team, Rick
Woo-woo.
Cutler, as always. Follow our show on YouTube. We'll be here all season long on ESPN LA 710. Thanks, everyone. Fight on.
And